Swinging a high drive into center field. Hits at the wall. It is gone! Casas does it again. It's gone! It's into the bullpen! This game is tied!
He swings and rips one to center field. It's high, it's deep, it's back, it's gone! Sale winds, he fires. Swing and a miss, strike three, it's over! The Red Sox have won the World Championship!
Welcome back to Play Tessie. It's a special bonus pod of Who Says No on a Friday. It's our first Who Says No since Joe's trade ripped around the world from last week. We are back. It's going to be my turn today, but this is the official Red Sox podcast of WEI. Before we get going, hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. Rate 5 stars, Apple, Spotify, everywhere you get your podcasts, you can find us, but just make sure you subscribe. You can find us on YouTube. We're on the WEI channel. You can find the Play Tessie playlist there. Has all of our episodes in video form, so subscribe to WEI and hit the thumbs up button on all of those videos. You can find us on the socials at Play Tessie on both Twitter and Instagram. Here with Sammy, and I'm here with Pat. As I said, Who Says No time. Do we trust that I'm gonna am I gonna put together something that's not gonna get? I mean, let's be fair. All of our trades get ripped to some capacity, but will this trade get ripped a normal amount?
You better hope. We'll have to see. I mean, okay. By the way, if you do a trade, a Who Says No, and it doesn't get ripped, that means it's too lopsided in favor of the Red Sox, in my opinion. So you do want to get ripped a little bit. You want to have people on the fence. You want that perfect 50-50 ratio.
It's all about the voting ratio.
You've got a lot of pressure on you, Gordo. So
yeah, I do. But I'll push back on that though. If it's too in favor, that people will still rip it. It'll be like a different tone of ripping because they're not insulted about it, but they'll be like, "This guy's an idiot." It won't be what they would never do that. Oh my God, I'm not trading all that. You
just don't want all yeses. You don't want people to be like, yeah, do it. Yeah, do it. Yeah, do it. You want no, this is bad. Yes, this is good. Then you're like, nice. Okay.
It's like
this is right down the middle where you want it. It's like a batting practice pitch. Zip it right down the middle. All right, let's go. I'm excited.
Yeah. Here we go. So if you listen to our last pod, you know that I kind of hinted that maybe this trade would be for Nolan Arenado. And I'm annoyed because I've had this trade in the holster for 2 weeks, just kind of waiting for my turn to put it out there. And of course, right before we're going to do this, you get the report from John Morosi that the Sox and Cardinals are talking about Arenado. So now everyone's thinking about their Arenado trade scenarios, but just know this was in my head and on my notepad in my notes app well before the John Morosi rumors. Okay. So here we go. You guys ready for it?
Let's go.
All right. The Red Sox are going to receive Nolan Arenado and Cardinals closer Ryan Helsley. And the Cardinals are going to receive Ceddanne Rafaela and Zach Penrod. I told you guys I wasn't going to include Cutter or Willier. The stat for Play Tessie trades is, I believe, 7 out of our 9 Who Says No's this offseason have included at least one of Cutter or Willier. I wasn't going to do it this time. And I'll give you my argument as to why this trade makes sense for both sides. So Nolan Arenado counts for 17 and a third against the tax, but he'll have 21 in cash going towards him in 2025 in this trade. I don't have the Cardinals eating any of Arenado's money, though they are taking Ceddanne Rafaela's contract, so you can take that as eating money. Ryan Helsley makes $8.2 million. Ceddanne Rafaela, 6.25 against the tax this year, but only 1.25 in cash. The reason I think this benefits both teams money-wise is the Cardinals want to shed salary in the short term. Ceddanne doesn't start really making money until a window where they're probably going to be ready to compete. And the Red Sox have some flexibility to add short term. And in my opinion, I'm not a fan of the Ceddanne extension. And I'm sure there's people in that organization that probably wish that they didn't hand it out, particularly with Jarren Duran becoming the defender that he did. So math-wise, cash, the Red Sox add $27 to $28 million to their payroll for 2025. But for luxury tax purposes, it's only about $19 million or so. They add a right-handed bat. They add their closer, Ryan Helsley, a top 3 reliever in baseball. If you look at the Shredder thing, the MLB Network top 10 right now, whatever, he's been top 3 relievers in the game back-to-back years. I'll give you I'll give you Sox argument first. As I said last episode, Arenado, your third baseman. I'm not trading Triston Casas in this trade or a separate trade. He's your first baseman. Rafael Devers is your DH, but he plays occasional days at third, more so at first. Other guys get time at DH. Yoshida probably not ready for opening day. I don't know if that's getting talked about enough, but he'll get some days at DH. He'll play more in the field, which another thing that's not getting talked about enough is Alex Cora saying that they're open to playing Yoshida in the field. Whether he was telling the truth about that, I don't know. But not a full-time player. Wasn't going to be a full-time player anyway. He's only going to play against right-handed pitching, and I think he should only play in the field in Fenway Park. But he can earn at bats as the season goes. Hopefully he gets to the point where either he's a mainstay in that lineup or you can trade him. But the Sox improved the defense with Arenado at third base. Infield defense was a huge problem last year, not just at third base, but all across the diamond in the infield. But this puts a top-of-the-league defender, one of the best defenders in the history of the sport, at the hot corner. You get a leader for the clubhouse. You talk about you wanting a guy that can talk to kids as they come up through the minors. Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, Marcelo Meyer in the cage, talk hitting with. No, it shouldn't be the manager. No, it shouldn't be the hitting coach. They need a teammate to do that. And Trevor Story can do that. Ideally, you have multiple guys. Ideally, you have someone there for if Trevor Story goes down again and needs to rehab. Arenado can be that guy. Think he can bounce back with the bat, going from an average hitter's park to one of the best hitter's parks, most hitter-friendly parks in the game. And then Helsley speaks for himself. Absolute stud, sub 2.5 ERA 3 straight years, led the league with 49 saves last year. Just an absolute beast. And not for nothing, I think there is value financially in getting off the long-term Ceddanne Rafaela money. That's just my opinion. I don't know how many people in the organization share that. I don't know if you guys share that opinion. But with Jarren Duran being the elite defensive center fielder that he is and that he was last year, it makes more sense to me to have your center fielder be the elite defender that is electric with the bat and on the bases. Like, it's not like Ceddanne is the only elite defensive center fielder that you have. So this kind of gives you a unique opportunity to shed that commitment without it kind of looking like a dump, because you're getting multiple good pieces back, but obviously Arenado is, as he's paid, a negative asset. That's why the Cardinals are trying to dump the salary. That's why no one's really willing to give anything. So you ask, why would the Cardinals do this? They're giving away Nolan Arenado. They're giving away an elite closer, and they're taking something that Gordo just called potentially a negative asset in Rafaela. Well, this finally ends the Arenado saga, and it dumps Arenado in a way where they don't have to pay a dime of that contract. They dump the entire contract. That's never been on the table from any team talking Nolan Arenado. Take the entire contract. No one has done it. They shed a lot of salary in the short term while only taking commitments in the long term. You get a guy in Rafaela who was a top 100 prospect a year ago. Not a guy that Chaim Bloom signed as an amateur or handed out the extension to, but Chaim did value him highly in trade talks. We talked who says no's with Ceddanne all the time. There were talks with the Marlins. There was a hefty price. He never got dealt. So maybe it's a guy that Chaim likes over there. Zach Penrod, not like a super exciting arm, but Chaim did sign him out of indie ball, and he showed flashes last year, throws hard from the left side. And then an interesting thing that I figured out while looking at the Cardinals depth chart, they literally don't have a center fielder. So their outfield right now and DH situation is left field is Nootbaar, right field is Walker, DH is Burleson, and center field is some guy named Michael Ciani, who was like a waiver claim. They literally don't have a center fielder right now. So I think the trade works. I don't know if it's likely, because I really don't know if the Red Sox want to be that team to extend a player and then trade him the next year. But it's a trade I would make. I would take on the whole Arenado contract to do it. If you're talking trade value site, pretty much dead even on the trade value site. Curious to hear you guys' thoughts.
So, a few concerns. First of all, great job. That was very creative. But the concerns from the Red Sox side. Trevor Story's been hurt a lot. If he gets hurt again, which I don't think is out of the question, I don't know who would slot in at short. Like Romy, it would probably be Romy Gonzalez, and he was not a good defender last year. I like that he can play around the field, but not a good defender, not a guy I'd want to be at short. I didn't know Ceddanne wasn't perfect over there either, but I think he was better than Romy would be. But that's not a huge concern or anything. It's more.
They have Meyer too. Like,
you could bring up Meyer, but he hasn't played a game in AAA yet.
You'd be screwed if Story got hurt early. But if he got hurt late, like, you got a guy.
You hope, but Meyer also injuries. So that's a concern, but that's a minor concern. The bigger concern to me, Helsley is the guy I'm looking at in this trade. That's the guy I'm more excited about than Arenado. How do we feel about the Red Sox ability to keep Ryan Helsley after 2025? Because if he walks, then I feel like you've lost the trade. I feel like you got Ceddanne, and I know you don't like Ceddanne's money. I don't think it's that bad. The most he's going to make is in 2031. He's going to make 13 and a quarter. I feel like that is going to be backup catcher money at that time. So I'm not super concerned about the money. It might even look like good value by then. So who knows about that? That's so far down the road. My concern would be Helsley. Love the pitcher. I think he's awesome. I could see the Red Sox extending him or re-signing him after the season. I'm just not super confident about it. So that's my concern. If I felt better about that, then I'd be like, oh yeah, you got to do it. You get Arenado. He's your third baseman. You move Devers to DH and figure out the outfield. Yoshida in left apparently can play there, according to Cora. Duran in center, and then you put Willier in right, and Roman Anthony factors in somehow. Christian Campbell might play second, might play. We'll figure that out. Figure that out down the road. So I like the trade. I think it's creative. I think the Cardinals take it for sure. Cardinals are just desperate to get rid of Arenado. So if they can get all his money off the books, get a guy with a plus tool like Ceddanne Rafaela, I'm talking about the defense, I think they take it, especially a guy like, I think I'm a little higher on Ceddanne than most guys. Like, I think he'll be a 2020 guy with great defense if he plays every single game next year. He was close to it last year. He was 15 home runs, 19 stolen bases, got thrown out a lot, but we don't have to talk about that. So yeah, I think the Cardinals do it. The Red Sox, fuck, man, I don't know. That is tough. Man, I don't know. Pat, what do you think? Do the Red Sox do this? I'm like totally right on the fence right now. I'm trying to decide, but every time I pick a side, I'm like, nah.
I'm on the opposite end. I think the Cardinals say no to this.
Really?
I do. And I say this for two reasons. One, if they're going into a full rebuild, which it surely sounds like they're doing, how much, I guess my point being, how valuable is saving the entirety of Arenado's contract if you're not going to reinvest it? And I don't think they will in the next 3 years. So attaching a guy like Helsley to get off of the Arenado contract when they could do two separate deals and get a pretty nice return for Helsley, I think that's a better avenue for St. Louis. That being said, if you upgraded Penrod to, say, Hunter Dobbins, then it's okay. You kind of get a defensive stud in center field with a little bit of upside. I'm lower on Ceddanne than Sammy is. I think this has been a thing since he made his major league debut. But there's value in defense. There's value in decent pop, stealing bases. Like, he's a valuable player. Long term, the contract, sure, there's a little bit of risk to it, but it's not high enough money where it's like, oh god, they get a DFA this guy. 10 years, like 5-6 years from now, 12, 13 million, it's going to be nothing.
6.25 on the luxury tax.
See, this is the thing where I disagree with you guys. I understand where you're coming from. Like, I understand the salaries go up every single year, but this is like, really, I don't want to sound like I dislike Ceddanne. Like, I think he has value in a lot of areas of the game, and by all accounts, a really nice guy, and good for him for cashing in as early as he did. Great, business decision. I think more players should do that. But this is a guy who chased like no other in the game last year. A guy who walked less than anyone in the game last year by a lot. At a lower rate than anyone else in baseball. And it's just, the defense is always going to be there, but I just don't know that the bat is ever going to be at the point where it's a guy I want in the lineup every day. And I'm nervous having that on the books for as long as they do, all guaranteed money. It's not like there's options. But
counterpoint, if your team is hamstrung by money at that low of a level, they're dead already. Like you got if you're like, crap, we can't do this, man. $6.25 million, we're fucked. Like then it's like a moot point. It's like, well, why do you even try? If that's going to stop you, then anything will. So I don't know. I think people are too dismissive of the idea that Ceddanne can improve at the major league level. We see guys improve on the job a lot. The problem is he finished so ice cold in 2024, and that's what people
Which happens.
Yeah, it happens. It's that rookie wall, people call it. I don't know. This is a good one. This is a good who says no.
Sammy, let me give you my rebuttal on your improve on the job, because guys do that. Like when Casas was struggling in his first month or two at the big league level, like I was the first guy saying, be patient with this guy. He's going to figure it out. But one of the hardest things for guys to improve is their eye, their chase. Like if very, very rarely does a guy chase anywhere close to the level of Ceddanne and improve it to the point where it's manageable at the big league level. Like it's rare. It's happened. I know Ronald Acuna did it, but not many do it. It's like there's
That's
other things. Yeah, sure. He's the outlier. It's like there's other things that guys improve. Like, the guys work on their launch angle, get more power, strength, get stronger. I know Ceddanne's trying to get stronger. They say he's been eating well, but yeah, I mean, that's to answer the question of my own trade, I could see avenues. Like I made the argument for, I think it works for both sides, but to make the argument against it, like, are the Cardinals really going to trade Ryan Helsley as a means of getting out of Arenado's money, where if you hold Helsley till midseason, he has a really good year. Like Helsley's $8.2 million, that's going to work against them in trade discussions. But if you wait till the trade deadline, teams will easily pay the like $2 or $3 million for the remainder of the year to get a lockdown closer for the playoff run. Like they'll get a haul for that, and they'd be giving up the ability to do that with this trade. And then meanwhile, the Red Sox, like the obvious reason for them to potentially say no is if they believe in Ceddanne. They believed in him enough to give him the extension. If there's still enough people in that building that believe in the player, like they're not going to do this trade.
So I got a question for you guys about Ceddanne, because this is an interesting player to discuss, just because his skill set is kind of unique. In terms of OPS plus, and if you're not familiar with OPS plus, 100 is average. If you're 95 OPS plus, that means you're 5% below average. 105, 5% above average. So, what does Ceddanne's OPS plus have to be for you guys to consider him a valuable player? Not statistically, you guys specifically. What does the OPS plus have to be for you guys to consider him a valuable player, assuming that he is also giving you plus center field defense, and he can also be your backup shortstop?
It's a tough question, Sammy, just because anytime you talk about Ceddanne, you're gonna talk about the defense, but like the Red Sox have a guy that can give you that, like close to that level of defense. Duran was that good in center field last year. So yeah, but yes, in a vacuum, like maybe like 94.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say like a little like 90-ish, like 10% below average bat. Like,
but it's not in a vacuum. You're batting 9. It's not like if you bench Ceddanne, you're now sacrificing center field defense. If you trade Ceddanne, you're sacrificing the defense. Like, no, you still got an elite defender out there.
Well, we disagree on Duran. Like, I think Duran's a good defensive center fielder. I just don't know how long it's going to last. Like, we went over the numbers. Like, a lot of his defensive, success was because he's incredibly fast. He was one of the most inefficient route runners of all outfielders in Major League Baseball. And people laugh at that, but I have the stats to back it up. It's true. So when he starts losing that game-breaking speed, and he's close to 30, and he's not old, but he's older than Ceddanne, so I just don't know how long he's going to be a plus defender in center field. I could see him moving to a corner outfield spot in 2 years. I could also be totally wrong, and he could be this fast until he's 35. Who knows? I'm not slotting him in to be an elite defender for the foreseeable future.
But even what you just said, you have 2 years or 3, like, and that's I think on the low end. Like
that's why it's palatable.
At least 3.
That's why it's palatable. And you have Roman Anthony too, who's a good defender. And he's more of a corner guy, but he could be a center fielder. So it's not a huge concern. It's just that I have to bring it up.
Yeah, I think first off, I'm with Gordo on that. I think Duran is above average defensively in center field. Will be until Roman can maybe take it over. I mean, point blank, Ceddanne would have to be a 95 OPS plus guy and literally be a perennial Gold Glover. And I'm with Gordo. I just don't know if I know. I don't know, because it's one thing to have a 95 OPS plus. It's a totally different thing to be first percentile in strikeouts and walks. That's not even good at bats. That's just good contact.
Rough. Yeah,
that's rough.
And it's not even just first percentile. Like, he's like considerably below the next. I wish I tweeted the stats at one point. I should have brought him with me. I didn't mean for this to be like a Ceddanne roast sesh. I truly just think it's not a good contract, but like, it makes more sense for the Cardinals, who literally don't have a center fielder and don't want to pay money now, but are open to paying it down the road. Whereas the Red Sox clearly are like very anti-paying long-term money and have money to pay in the short term. I think it makes a little, like, I don't want it to be a Ceddanne roast fest. I just think that he's a better fit today for the, like, it's not a knock even against him. I just think he's a better fit for the Cardinals where they're at, a team that can give him every day at bats, a team that needs a center fielder, a team that wants to shed short-term salary and maybe will add salary in the near future. Like, I think he's a good fit out in St. Louis. He'd probably make you look kind of silly for trading him. I don't know.
He'd play more. He'd definitely play more. Or he'd have a more clear path to playing more, I should say. Who knows? He could still play a lot here.
All right, I need final answers from you guys. We've hashed out the discussion. I know it's hard to give the answer right after hearing the trade. You need some time to process it. Who says no? Give me the answers for both teams. Sammy, I'll go to you first. Sox, Cardinals. Who says no? Who says yes?
I think the Cardinals say yes. And the Red Sox, Helsley's really good, but they... I'll say Cardinals say yes, Red Sox say no.
Pat?
Cardinals say yes, Cardinals say no, Red Sox say yes.
I love it. Woo! I got you guys on both sides of both.
Nice.
Oh,
you did it, Gordo. good middle ground trade. Yeah, that's tough, man. I like trading Ceddanne. The problem with Ceddanne is exactly what we just talked about. The variance of outcomes with him is gigantic. We got like so many different avenues he could go down. He's so young. He just turned 25. So, man, I don't know. Or 24? How old is Ceddanne? He's in his early 20s. It doesn't matter. So
he's a kid.
I like Ceddanne. I'm a Ceddanne truther, and if I'm wrong, I'll die on that hill.
All right. So we've got one of each. We've got it all over. This is great. I can't wait to see the poll on this one. I'm excited to post a trade where Cutter is king, does not comment on it. Disappointed that we are trading Cutter Crawford yet again. Again, anytime we trade these guys in these who says no, it's literally nothing against the player. It's just good. Getting good players costs good players, and the Red Sox have a depth of outfielders long-term, and they have a depth of starting pitchers short-term. So guys who play those positions but aren't maybe necessarily cornerstones, like we don't often trade Jarren Duran, Roman Anthony, Triston Casas. We don't often trade those, Rafaela Devers. Like, we don't trade those guys in these deals, but like if you play a position where the Sox have a surplus, like chances are you might pop up in one of these, and that's okay. It means you have value as a player.
See, also like with like people saying you guys keep including Abreu and Cutter. Are there two more obvious trade candidates than those two guys? That's why we're including them. They're realistic trade. We're not going to do unrealistic trades if we can help it. These two guys are like, I mean, you said it, surplus in the outfield. They have 6 major league starters and then 3 more knocking on the door in AAA. So sorry, we like Cutter, we like Willier, but trade target it's like Nick York.
They're both valuable.
We liked Nick York too, but we always put him in who says no, and then he got traded. So there you go. Sox.
That's a good point, Sammy. Yeah, good players that have value. We like to get good players in who says no trades. To get good players in who says no trades, you have to give good players in who says no trades. That's how it works.
If we get it wrong, we'll take it on the chest. All right, time to go to bed.
Yeah, let's get out of here, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in for this bonus Who Says No pod of Play Tessie. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify. Subscribe, rate 5 stars. Really appreciate it when you guys do that. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think of the trade. You can find the trade as well on the social accounts, Twitter and Instagram, at PlayTessie at both locations. The trade will be up. That will have a Who Says No graphic there sometime in the afternoon on Friday. So tell us what you think there. Love to hear the comments. Roast me if you please. I'm willing to take the heat. And if you like the trade, you can tell me you like the trade, and I appreciate that too. You can find all our episodes on YouTube in video form. They're all on the WEI page. You can find the PlayTessie playlist there, podcast playlist there. Subscribe to WEI. Hit the thumbs up on all of the PlayTessie videos. Literally just scroll down the page and hit the thumbs up on all of them. And yeah, I went in different orders, so I guess that's it for the outro. So appreciate you guys tuning into this one. Who Says No will be back in your ears next week. Till then, though, this has been PlayTessie Bonus Pod. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.